What up, man? Happy Friday. Happy Friday to everybody out there. We really didn't get a lot of new music today, but what's up, Coop? We got a whole lot to talk about.
Yeah. I mean, you and me, I think we stayed busy. I think we both took advantage of the fact that, like, I don't know about you, Mike. I didn't listen to almost any rap today, and I'm gonna tell you, it was beautiful, it's a wonderful thing. Told you about these rapping ass rappers how they're interfering with my life, but first two rap songs that came on my playlist, Mike, and they came back to back. The first one kind of like Mike, they reminisce over you came on, and it was like I couldn't skip that.
It's one of the greatest hip hop songs of all time, man. And I
It,
know
it
that you did a list, right? We were talking
I
about
did.
the top 20 hip hop songs of all time. In my opinion, I've always had that song in that 5 to 10 range. It's a top 10 hip hop song all time to me.
I think it's on the back end of the 10, Mike. I think you're right. Mike, the song that came on after that was What Would Meek Do? And I was like, no, that's the devil, and he knows what I like too. I got to get back to my Anita Baker influence.
Most definitely. Well, you know what? We're gonna have a whole lot of new music next week because Westside Gunn just released a tweet. Not a tweet. He doesn't do that. Really, he might have put a tweet out too, but I was following on Instagram. He said the side B is coming out, and it has a host of features and a host of production. He released the production credits and he released the features. We got Jay Electronica, 2 Chainz, Tyler the Creator, Stove God Cook, Benny, Conway, Amani Caesar, just to name a few. We got Flea Lord on there too. Just some names that just standing out for me. We got Derringer on the production. We got Alchemist on the production. We got Madlib on the production. We got DJ Green Lantern on the production. Huh. Hey,
He's done
look.
stuff with Mad Lib before, the Gun Lib record. Remember Gun Lib?
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Yeah, I remember that.
listen, I was looking at what Westside was saying in this interview he had with Nadeska on Apple Music, and
Mm-hmm.
it was trending. And the reason why I actually saw it is because he made that statement about he would like the executive producer Jadakiss album, and we're gonna get to that in a minute too. But a lot of the stuff that he was saying in that interview, man, he was talking like side A was kind of like a tester. Like he was like, I just threw that out there just to see if people was fucking with what I'm doing, and I knew that Drake and Kanye were coming, so I was like, went ahead and threw that out there. And he was like, man, people talking about that's an album of the year contender. He was like, side B is way better.
I mean, it's a dope record.
Uh huh.
It's the best thing that he's made since Pray for Paris, if you actually want to put it in its full context. It's not an album of the year contender. And it's like I said, even with all the stuff that I felt like could have been done better, I felt like it was a really solid 4, which is what it is. I'm still playing Vogue cover, Spoons, Westheimer, and what's the and Bash Money. I'm still playing those records.
Yeah.
I'm playing Mariota a little bit sometime too.
Okay.
So he's got some stuff on there. Vogue cover is my joint, Mike.
Everybody loves Vogue cover. I'm with
Mike,
you on that.
Mike. I was on 285 a couple weeks ago, and we were like in a little bit of traffic, and like the part broke down where Levert comes in, and like these dudes were in the expedition next to me, and they was looking at me like what, and then Stove came in, and they were like, I was like.
I kind of, it's funny, man. Like, I don't know, man. Maybe when this album dropped, I was thinking it was going to be a double album altogether. So I was slightly underwhelmed by side A. Not saying it was weak or anything, but again, you know what my barometer is. My barometer is Pray for Paris, right? And I feel like that's somewhere where West Side's barometer is when we talk about this second part, right? And so he was talking about side A kind of like how I felt about side A when I heard it. And I have the feeling that side B is going to be what I was expecting from the jump. So I think side B is going to be a little bit more Pray Prepare-ish.
So
Yo, Terminator, shout out to you. He said, salute Mike, salute Coop.
What up, fam?
What up? Go ahead.
So let me ask you something, Mike.
Right.
What do you think Westside's second best project is? since we're just kind of going here right quick, like, what do you think because Mike, I'm gonna tell you something. I want to shout out my man Kendron Bryant, who like runs the hip hop sports group. He's like the author of the group that like I'm in, and he made a couple of poignant comments. We had a long dialogue last night, but one of the poignant comments that he made that we've agreed with is like the level that Pray for Paris is at, because we were talking about KD2. And I was like, well, Pray for Paris and Daytona are the only albums that I know that are better than KD2 in the last 5 years. And he was like, yeah, pretty much.
This is the thing. And I would say
so
Supreme Clientele is...
Pray for Paris isn't a regular level is what I'm saying.
It's not. And Supreme Clientele would be my answer to your question. But I think that Westside has incredible ears. That's why I would love for him to executive produce Jada's album. We saw what he was able to do with From a King to a God with Conway. But he knows how special Pray for Paris is. And I think he knows for him, that's the level. I think he knows that. I think that, because he described himself in the interview in Nadeska as a curator. He was like, we know that out of the crew, Conway and Benny, they the rapper's rapper. I'm here to be the curator. I'm trying to be the best curator in hip hop. I'm not trying to be the best hip MC ever. And I think that you could tell Pray for Paris was what it was, right? And I think that I'm sorry, the one that came after it, it slips me. I see the cover in my head right now. You know what I'm talking about. Fly God 2. Fly God 2 was supposed to be for the streets, right? And honestly, I think that, Who Made the Sunshine was like, look, this is an album I got to give Shady. Here you go. You know what I'm saying?
I told you he approached that album like more of like an actual piece of artwork.
Right.
In terms of approach, stylistically.
Right. And he says that, again, he's really, really into, his art galleries and things of that nature. But, he's about being a curator. And I think that he understands that Pray for Paris is his best work. I think that, in my opinion, it's always really gratifying for me when I hear from artists and their favorite song from themselves is what I think is my favorite song from them. I think I was hearing, I know somebody that runs with Public Enemy or whatever, and he was saying that Welcome to the Terror Dome was Chuck D's favorite song. And I'm like, cool, we're on the same page, I think that Ghostface understands that Supreme Clientele is his best album, right? I think that Busta knows that ELE is his best album. That's why we have a sequel to it. And so, even when I hear Jay-Z mention his top 3, it's pretty much in line with what I think too. So I think that Westside knows that Pray for Paris is different, and that's the mark for him.
I mean, you can say that, but I mean, I just don't know how fair to think that he's about to do necessarily Pray for Paris. I think From a King to a God is more attainable. And so what I would pose to you...
You see this lineup? This lineup's crazy.
I mean, lineup doesn't necessarily dictate how it's going to fall, although I do find him to be the best beat picker post Rick Ross's prime. And as far as artist placement, I mean, I think he showed on Pray for Paris and From a King to a God. Well, if he's the guy responsible for doing the placements and the order and the songs and the sequencing, well, he's pretty goddamn masterful at it. So I'm not saying that he can't. I'm just saying like albums like Pray for Paris don't come along very often. Like if he
in
makes
consecutive years, right?
If he makes something comparable to Pray for Paris, he will like done something that like quite frankly MCs that are considered to be in an echelon above him have done if he does that, because that will be like executive producing or producing or be the author of like 2 or 3 classics in like 2 or 3 years, like certified classics, Mike, not like what you Q-Tip as a classic, like Mike, that's what I'm saying. Like it's rare air. Not a lot of guys have like done that on an artist level, producer level. Q-Tip does come to mind, Mike. Yeah.
I mean, you got People's Instinctive and Low End Theory back-to-back years, and then you got Midnight Marauders like a year after that.
Hey, Mike, you want to know what I did this past week, though?
What's that?
I went and listened to people's instinctive travels just about you and this never-ending argument that we have about it. Mike, it is a classic because there's just too much classic stuff on there to deny it. There are other albums that have been labeled classic that don't have the classic songs that people's instinctive travels have. The problem is it does sound a little dated, and it's followed by the Low End Theory and Midnight Marauders, but still a classic, Mike. I'm gonna put it on the lower end.
It's
but
like,
but I kind of already had it like a 4.5, Mike. It's not like I had it in some sort of like awful place. Like that shit sucks.
It's one of those things, man, where it's like you have to also put yourself in that place and time, and it's like it was nothing that sounded like it. You know, especially during the time where everybody was using James Brown loops and James Brown breaks. And this was fresh, new. And obviously, you know, you had 3 Feet High and Rising out there. But this was a little different, you know?
And 3 Feet High and Rising is better too, Mike, than people's
I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that. Okay. I think I would listen to People's Instinctive before it because of the massive songs that are on it.
They're always more fun than De La, though. They're always more fun than De La.
Just like Outkast is more fun than Goody Mob.
Right.
Speaking of which, is that going to take us into the next subject?
What is the next subject? Are we done here? Hold on, no, real quick. No.
No.
Because we really didn't get into what we thought it would sound like in terms of like, what are you expecting? Like you feel like Westside's Part 2 is about to be an album of the year contender, obviously.
Oh, definitely. This is what I'm expecting. I'm expecting Pray for Paris level. That doesn't mean that it's gonna be better than Pray for Paris or anything like that, but just on a focus level, I'm expecting it to be at that level and possibly his second best effort. The fact that he said, and you know, we both agree that side A, that's a 4. He said this shit is way better.
Okay, so
he said this. He's heard the music.
So I got a couple of questions for you. Because, okay, so first of all, let's go ahead and qualify this. When you say you're expecting Pray for Paris levels, do you consider to be our current album of the year, KD2, Pray for Paris levels?
No, I don't. And
so you're immediately saying, by saying what you're saying, that Westside Gunn's about to drop the album of the year next week because you're saying it's going to be better than KD2.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so Mike, what I'm trying to express to you is that truly I think what you're saying is that if he does that, he will have, I mean, in my opinion, if he makes an album better than KD2 next week, that will mean he's made 2 of the best 3 rap albums in the last 5 years and probably executive produced the album that I would have in the 5th position from a king to a god. Because it's not like KD2 isn't like nothing to sneeze at, per se.
This is the thing. And it's interesting he said this in his interview because I really think that, you know, some of his people or him himself listen to our show and listen to some of our conversations, right? I think that...
Oh, I know they watch.
And Westside, he brought up Kanye West when he said, you know, basically no one ever brings up Kanye West in the MC category or whatever, best MC or whatever, but Kanye's probably the greatest curator, culture driver that we've ever seen. That's what I'm trying to do. And you look at somebody like him with the catalog the way he has and the catalog that Kanye has, the only person we could compare what he's doing to is Kanye if he comes and delivers in this way. You know what I mean?
When did he say that?
Like yesterday or today or something. It's the new interview.
Really?
Yeah.
Mike, that's crazy because I can't even front about the sentiment that you made with the Verzuz stuff that we're going to get to. I pulled up like all yays, like everything yay. And Mike, like we got to have a greatest artist of all time conversation.
He is. I don't give a fuck. I'm sorry. I'm just going to say it. Kanye West.
Let me finish talking.
Go ahead.
Saying what I had to say, Mike.
It was in my mind. Go ahead.
Because, I mean, and we're about to get off into it, and if it's where you want to go next when we can, I was just looking, I'm like, okay, like this shit's stupid, that's my bad. And even though I, like, you know, got somewhat levels of issues with Donda, like on a musical level and fundamentally some of the things that he's done. Mike, when I just pulled up everything today, and I was just like, well, he's not a better MC than Rakim or Nas or Big or Jay or Scarface or Ghostface or Kiss or Kendrick, but it's like, but damn. And I'm gonna tell you why, because I got somebody that I actually want Kanye to do a versus with, and it's gonna let you know at what level I think that he's actually at when I say his name, because I was like, oh, that's actually the real versus when I look at it, if we're talking artist for artist. So
I agree with you. And see, I kind of did similar things, but you know what I did? I was thinking about records. I was like, you know what? People want Kanye to do this versus with Drake. And all that stuff to me is fabricated, made up bullshit, right? Because when Kanye plays a record like, you know, 2 words, what's Drake gonna play? You know what I'm saying? Like started from the bottom or something. Like, come on. But
no,
what I would want to see, what I would want to see from Kanye though, I would like to see Kanye go out there and just play a bunch of songs that never got released. That's some of his most brilliant work. Chain Heavy is one of his most brilliant pieces of work. You know, Bittersweet Poetry is brilliant. The original Home with John Legend. I was upset when he put that version of Home on Graduation, the one that people like so much with Chris Martin. I never liked that because the original one with John Legend is crazy.
So, Mike, I literally have probably like 100 songs over here that Kanye either made himself or produced, and like Home ain't on this list.
Home is fucking ridiculous. Yeah, that's one of my favorites that never saw the light of day.
No, I'm talking about like the one that came out. That ain't on this list.
Oh, Mike. Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah, the original. It was another one that got cut from. This is the one. You remember Q-Tip was on Red Bull Conversation, and he played a song that he produced. It was supposed to be on My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. My Mother's Boyfriend. That song is brilliant. He has songs that have never seen the light of day, that if he played those in a versus setting, people would be like, what?
Hey, Mike, the stuff Q-Tip knows, like the behind the scenes stuff, like I want him to like, yeah.
Somebody was like, yo, somebody steal Q-Tip's laptop right now.
Mike, Fed's coming to get you, Mike. Especially after he lost all them records in the fire. Like, nah, he ain't playing.
Nigga, I forgot about that.
Mike, never forget about that. Never forget about that.
No, because I always think about the RZA flood, but yeah, that Mike, fire, yeah, that's Mike, crazy.
Really, probably one of the few times that I truly felt like inside for a hip hop artist where I was like, no, that's some sad shit. It has nothing to do with death in this business. Like,
it's sad, man. It really is. And you know what? That can kind of take us to our next segment, right? We're talking about producers. And I thought about this today, man. And the way that Diddy is approaching this Jermaine Dupri thing, it made me go back and, because, you know, just for people who aren't briefed up on this, Diddy basically dismissed Jermaine Dupri's versus challenge and said that he could beat him with Biggie and Mary's catalog alone. And so I'm thinking, like, you know, because we went down the Biggie line the other day. Biggie has 2 albums, right? And I think we got out of there maybe 4 songs. We'll call it 3. Are you counting Born Again or are you counting the double disc?
I'm counting the double disc. It's too full on both sides to say that that's one album. That's like 2 albums. It is. I don't care what people say.
That's fine. Full. So Biggie's out of Biggie's 3 albums, what we said Puff got maybe 4 records that he could legitimately play?
I mean, if we're talking about from what I've always been taught and understood musical production on some sort of level to be, that is correct. And so I want to kind of unpack right quick. I don't want to cut you short. Was I stopping you short?
Well, I was just going to mention the Mary stuff, and I'll get to that. Go ahead and say what you got to say, though.
I mean, I think what has happened is because Puff has been so great at so many things in this business that the actual music producer has kind of gotten entailed in that. And I'm not saying that, like, Puff has one of the best ears and eyes for music ever. Like, that ain't That I'm not arguing that.
That's an
Having it,
executive's job, though. Like I said, we could start pulling
I'm going to
people
say
like
this.
L.A. Reid in the fold or something.
So if I could just unpack it a little bit, and this is what I'm saying. So Mike, how did he get his start? He's an A&R for Uptown for Andre Harrell.
Right.
At his heart, he's an A&R, which means he does a little bit of everything.
Right.
But what I'm telling you, he does the least greatest is musical production. He's the whole deal: marketing, branding, image, eye, ear, big, rap on this beat. I don't want to rap on this beat. Big, we need to get to this money. Rap on this beat for me, please, dude. Girls, come on. Spend some time with Big. Spend some time with Big right quick. Big, we got to make this record. We got to get this money. Like, that's him. Like Big, I'm going to take this sample. It just got cleared. Boom. Like, that's him. He's not the guy. Boom, 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 bam. He's not with the guitar licks. He's not on the keyboards like, no.
Well, hold on. I want to stop though for a second.
And if so, when? And so all I'm saying is that when he speaks the way that he speaks on a music production level, it's like, nah, like you're the eyes and the ears of the operation, Mike. Like that's what you said. That's executive stuff.
Exactly.
Like,
and see, let's look at, and not to cut you off.
Engineer stuff, Mike. Some of that stuff is engineer stuff. Like,
and he doesn't even do that though.
No, Mike. Yeah. He does that. Like I've heard him. I've seen him before. Be like, no, take that out or drop that or stack. Like, no, that's engineers decide stuff like that too. Like when they're mixing down and stuff.
I agree. So engineers do that, but executives also do that. I was watching Clive Davis's documentary, and him and the engineer of Whitney Houston's "I Will Always Love You" were having their back and forth arguments. He was having arguments with the engineer. He ended up using the one that he wanted to, and not the engineer. The engineer is still the engineer. But I was going to mention L.A. Reid though, right?
Mike.
L.A. Reid. Go ahead.
You talking about "I Will Always Love You"? Them some first world problems. Which one of these flawless takes are we taking? Which one of these flawless takes we taking?
No, but honestly, I heard Clive's reasoning, and he was right. You know what I'm saying? They wanted to actually make the saxophone solo longer and all that. He's like, no, we don't want anything in the way of this voice. So, yeah, I mean, I think his selection actually was right. That doesn't mean the engineer is not the engineer. But I think that the common ear can actually fix things for an engineer sometimes who's hearing things over and over. That doesn't make Puff an engineer is what I'm saying. But what I was going to say, I was going to bring up L.A. Reid, right?
His eye is as good as his ear, though, Mike, and that's what I'm trying to get people to understand. It's not just his ear; it's his eye too. It's like it's not just what he hears; it's what he sees and how he puts it together. Like all of those things are cool. That's not the actual definition of a music producer.
Well, all right. So, how do we view somebody like an L.A. Reid, who is a drummer? You know, he did that first. He's actually a musician, right?
Say what? Musician plays.
Yeah. L.A. Reid's a drummer. Yes. He's an executive. He actually put Jermaine Dupri with Usher when it didn't work out with Diddy. He actually put Jermaine Dupri with Mariah Carey. That worked out. He has an ear too, sounds like. He actually put dang, I'm sorry. We were just talking about him.
Dallas?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah. He also put Dallas with Pink. Right? That seemed to have worked out, right?
Mike, I dropped the whole Dallas Austin Pink thing in the thread when people were talking about Puff the day in the group.
But again, does L.A. Reid not get any I'm a producer props on that level, if that's what we're talking about? Because for me, I thought Verzuz was about people who actually create the production, right? People who sit there and pull these things together. You're not qualifiable for this. And now I'm looking at the credits for Mary J. Blige's What's the 411? I mean, a lot of these records I gave Puff credit for, like Real Love. Puff didn't produce Real Love. Puff's name is nowhere on it. Puff's name is nowhere near You Remind Me. Love No Limit. Puff's name ain't on there unless we talk about the remix. So you talk about you'll whack somebody with Biggie and Mary's stuff. What Mary's stuff? One album?
Slow down, son. You're killing them.
I'm just saying, like, don't say these things about, and because And since you mentioned
He
Q-Tip,
started it. He started
yeah,
it.
since you mentioned Q-Tip, I'm sitting here thinking
He
like,
said
what's
it's
stopping Puff from saying the same thing he said to JD to somebody like Q-Tip or to somebody
oh
like Premier? You
Mike,
know what I
Mike,
mean?
Mike. As soon as he said your arm's too short to box with God, I said, well, we're gonna have to audit that now because like that's going
Mm-hmm.
too far. Like you're going too far. Like. So he's kind of like you call that. You kind of called for this audit, is what I'm saying, because you could have said like, hey fam, I don't think it's a good. Like there's so many ways, and this is what I mean. He has such an eye and ear and knows how to spin things. There's so many different ways that he could have played this, and
Yeah.
it would have went away. And the fact that he didn't, it was like, well, let's audit the situation. Let's talk about what a music producer is. And it's
Right.
and it's like at its bare minimum, it's a dude that knows how to get behind the beat machine and organize the snares and the hi-hats and the bass lines and like put it in a format and like,
You know, when it's all said and done, and I want to be clear with this, I think when we're talking about hip hop executives, executive producers on that level where you're able to put people with people, I think that he's at the top there. He's basically
no,
to hip hop what L.A. Reid is to R&B in that era. And what I just
no.
mentioned with Dallas Austin being hooked up with Pink, even Dallas Austin being hooked up with Boyz II Men, like stuff like that, he knows who to put with who.
Yeah, and Mike, and this is what I mean, like, and so when he's saying that the reason that we have to audit it is because like there are actual musical producers out here who you never hear like on all levels. Like Mike, like literally about 5 miles up the street from my house is a recording studio where a producer and an engineer I know by the name of Mad Mike is in there with an artist named Lou Screw I know right now. Mad Mike's only 30 years old. He's been playing instruments since he was 14 years old. He can play instruments. He can make the beat. And he can engineer the whole track, like by himself in the studio alone. And his spit game is crazy. He just got off tour with KRS.
Oh, I remember you telling me about him.
Yeah. And so, like, when I hear Puff talk like that, I think about a guy like Mike, who y'all don't know, and I'm like, no. My dude, Mad Mike. Mike's a producer. Mike out here playing beats, rhymes.
Puff is an executive.
I found out about him, about how dope his mixes was as an engineer. It wasn't until I got in the yo with him and my homie Lou Screw that and Mike, I was there on an executive level.
This is what I'm gonna say.
And I was looking at dude like, oh, you do that? I'm sitting in the back, Mike, like I'm OG in the studio. I'm sitting back looking at him like, oh, you play? Oh, he's like, yeah, I can. And then I'm watching him make the beat live. Then I'm watching him clean up this other track. I'm like, no, that's a producer.
Everything you're saying and it is furthering my notion that Puff is more Jimmy Iovine and L.A. Reid than he is Dr. Dre or J.D. Because the thing is, like, as great of a producer as Dr. Dre is, they had the Chronic 2001 finished, and they wanted the next episode to be the first single. Jimmy Iovine was like, you don't have the first single yet. And because of Jimmy Iovine, we have Still D.R.E. And for anybody to sit there and listen to an album like 2001 and say that something's missing, that's brilliant. And that's a skill. And that's the skill that Puff has. But we're not going to sit here and act like you have that skill of actually making that record. You just know when something's missing. And that's great.
I mean, and let's also not act like Puff didn't have good like teachers and mentors. He learned from some great men and he studied the game. Well, he's a student of the game.
And when it comes to L.A. Reid, too, I don't know if you heard that conversation that Dallas Austin and J.D. were having. They kind of had, like when this whole Verzuz thing started, they got it on, like, an IG Live, and they did it different, where they were just basically trading stories for certain songs. And a lot of their songs, because they worked with LaFace, kind of freelance in that day, were based around L.A. Reid telling them, like, yo, I need a hit for this and that. He would let them know, what song went and what song didn't go, and pretty much most of the time, he was right. Because Dallas didn't think that Blue Cantrell Hit 'Em Up style was anything. And LA was like, no, we need that one.
Mike, I'm with Dallas on that. I didn't think that was anything when I first heard it too. I was like, what's that? I was like, what they doing?
Yeah.
And then that thing like blew up and I was like, oh, it's like, that's what it did. I was like, oh, well, all right. Okay, my bad. Like, I ain't.
And you got to think about it. These producers in the studio so much, they're hearing stuff over and over. I mean, certain things you hear, it just hits you immediately, like that's it. But sometimes it takes an outside ear, a knowledgeable ear at that, to be like, yeah, this goes.
Yeah.
But on to
Okay.
our next subject, man. Though, on top of that, I mean, do you think that the Diddy and JD thing's gonna happen? Because I don't think the Diddy and Dre thing's gonna happen.
The Diddy and Dre thing's not going to happen. I'm going to get to that. So are we to the verses portion of? Is that where we're going?
Let's talk verses because we're already talking verses.
Yeah, we kind of are.
Yeah, we already talking verses. I mean, we could still be talking about this Diddy stuff while we're talking verses.
No, that's in there. JD versus Diddy make that list because he said your arms are too short to box with God, and so I want JD to go box with God.
I want JD to go box with God too. Do it for the city, man. So, all right, you have like a fantasy. Well, I don't even want to say fantasy because we're talking about what versus possibilities are left that could actually happen. We're not talking about Jay-Z and Nas because that's probably not going to happen, right? No. We're not talking about Tribe and Outkast because that's probably not going to happen. Outkast, anything's not going to happen. Let's just keep it above. So, who do you think is left out there to possibly do a versus? What do y'all think in the chat too? Who do y'all think is out there left to do a versus?
Mike, do you want to go to like your epic brilliant comment first? Like, because I think that's the best versus matchup. Let's start right there.
Okay, we can start there. All right, so I was talking to Coop last night, and I was like, I got it. I think the greatest versus that's not out there that could be done, that would be the biggest versus, would be Kanye West versus Kanye West. And we're talking about Kanye West, the artist, versus Kanye West, the producer. And he would be so with that. I mean, because it's all about him. We talking about, you got a beat machine over here on one side, and maybe like a record player or whatever, a DJ set up on this side where it's the artist on this side, and, it's the producer on this side. I think it would be amazing. I think it would be great for him to show that pretty much nobody's on his level when it comes to that in this hip-hop shit. I want to see it. I want to see Kanye West versus Kanye West. And I want him to do it without Swiss and Timbaland, too. That's the other caveat.
That's really shady and funny.
Yeah. Kanye earned that.
So, Mike, you want to know what my most striking point? You want to know what Kanye's greatest stroke of genius may be, Mike?
What's that?
It's going to be very hard for even Kanye West, the producer, to beat Kanye West, the artist, because Kanye West, the artist, gave himself his biggest shit.
I was going to say that. I think Kanye West, the artist, beats Kanye West, the producer.
Most of his great stuff production-wise, Mike, you'll find on the whole of a few albums that we're going to talk about. And outside of that, it's actually legendary B-side stuff. It's not a lot of heavy-hitting home run stuff. And so in order for Kanye West, the producer, to beat Kanye West, the artist, because the records aren't as big and there's much more to choose from, you literally are going to have to pick the perfect songs from his production catalog to beat him as an artist. And that was the most striking thing that I realized today. Because, Mike, do you want me to read down the songs from Kanye West's catalog? And I didn't pick anything after My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. You want me to go right quick?
Go for it.
Mike, Good Morning, I Wonder, No Church in the Wild, All Falls Down, Jesus Walks, Through the Wire, Power, All of the Lights, Runaway, Can't Tell Me Nothing, Flashing Lights, Gold Diggers, Touch the Sky, Heard 'Em Say, Diamonds from Sierra Leone, We Major, Crack Music, Two Words, Get 'Em High, Otis, Niggas in Paris, We Don't Care What People Say, Roses, Celebration, Stronger, Gorgeous, So Appalled, The Glory, Drive Slow, Good Life, Good Luck, Good Night.
But you know what? As a producer, I would love for him to play stuff like, Dreams by The Game.
That's on there. Check.
Gotta play that. Got Heart of the City from Jay.
Got that on here. That's a check, Mike.
And Dig Into the Crates, hit them niggas with that I'm Just Doing My Job by T.I. or something. And
Mike, that's not strong enough to beat Kanye.
No, it's not, but that's more one of those.
I'm just doing my job, Mike. I couldn't even I was like, nope, that's not gonna work, Mike. This is what I mean. You got to pick some of his, Mike. You got to pick Be All Right with Trina and Luda to win this.
Knock by Monica.
I was actually Mike. You want to know what he needs to hit him with? He needs to hit him with some stuff that like people forgot about, like "You Don't Know My Name."
Yeah. You Don't Know My Name is Alicia Keys' best song, and he did it.
I'm not gonna disagree with that at all, Mike. You're gonna have to hit him with "If You Know, You Know," "The
Yeah.
Corner."
Oh, yeah. B is gonna be
Yeah.
real heavy in that, like the food or something like that.
Mike, I got the
Obviously, we
food.
got to
Mike,
get
Mike,
just
Mike,
to get
in,
by,
Mike,
right?
Mike, in order, I wrote down he has to play "The Corner," "If You Know, You Know," and "The Food" in order. I got them three lined up together. Like, you got to play it perfect to beat the artist.
What about Get By?
I got "Get By" on here. Yep.
Um,
That's what I would like to call a sneaker record people forgot about. That's what I'm talking about. You got to play the stuff people forgot about. "You Don't Know My Name," "Get By,"
there was
"Be All
one.
Right."
There was one at the top of my. What about Ludacris Stand Up? I'm.
I got "Stand Up." I got "Stand Up" right above "The Corner." I actually thought that was a good way to get it started. That's actually how I got "Stand Up" starting up off his production side. Actually,
Yeah, Jay-Z
like
encore possibly.
the way I had his production lineup going is starting off with "Stand Up," "The Corner," "If You Know, You Know," and "The Food."
How do you
Those
feel
were
about Lucifer?
Lucifer's a definite, Mike.
Okay.
That's one of his best beats, actually. Like that's one of his top 20 beats, in my opinion. So like a top 20. Yeah.
Well, if we're keeping it on Jay-Z, I like Brooklyn We Go Hard. I like what he did in that era. I like Run This Town.
I got "Run This Town."
Yeah, Run This Town's pretty heavy.
You know what I got? And this is what I mean. You got to pick the right stuff. I got "Already Home" off the Blueprint 3.
Yeah.
That's gonna slap in the speakers, and a lot of people forgot that's Ye beat.
Yeah, he's gonna hit people with a lot of surprises. What do you think about Let the Beat Build and shit like that?
I got "Let the Beat Build" right next to "Already Home." Glad you said it. It's the beat that I would play right before "Already Home." I would go to "Let the Beat Build" and then "Already Home."
Yeah, Kanye West, the producer, is a problem, but I think Kanye West, the artist, would actually beat Kanye West, the producer.
Mike, you right. You might be right. You want to know what else I have? Right after "You Don't Know My Name," I got "Overnight Celebrity." So here's how I had it lined
forgot
up.
about that. Slow jams too.
I don't know if Slow Jams is going to do it. Swagger Like Us might do it. I put "Grammy Family" down with a star.
I love Grammy Family.
Me too. That's one of his best beats for me.
I love Grammy Family.
That's what I mean. You got to dig off into his catalog, Mike. What do you say to new?
What about Selfish? What about
Mike,
Selfish?
I got "Selfish" down with a question mark because I don't know if it's enough for Ye the artist. But Mike, what would I tell you if I was going to play New Godflow birthday song and click in order?
Woo! Listen, man. All right, listen.
You gotta pick the perfect song. So listen to the records that I'm naming that I would pick against the artist. Like these are like you can't just pick like any old Kanye beat. It gotta be the shit that go hard.
Listen, man. I was in the barbershop today, and people were talking about different verses and who they thought would beat whoever. And when they said, well, who could beat blah blah blah, I think Jay-Z was the person. I was like, Kanye West. No one could be. Kanye West, the greatest hip hop artist of all time. I'm just gonna say it.
So Mike, two things. So when Kanye West would go play "Jesus Walks," I would play "Bigger Than Hip Hop" by Dead Prez because he produced that.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I'm saying. You got to pick the perfect beats just to make this like a matchup against him. And Mike, if you want to like just to have a shot against the producer and Mike, the producer has so much more heat. But Mike, I just read those songs off from College Dropout to My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. Mike, which brings me to my next point. You know the versus battle that I realized really needs to happen when I pulled up Ye's artist lineup? Mike, you're right. It's Kanye versus Jay-Z. We keep asking for Jay-Z versus Nas. What we really need to be asking for is Nas versus Rakim and Kanye versus Jay-Z.
Listen, I'm going to say this respectfully because I know all these people watch our show. Jay don't want it with Kanye. And
Mike,
that's just the
right.
God-honest truth.
So
the versatility is too much. It is. And, and this is what I will say. And we've talked about Jay-Z's catalog in certain pockets. And, he was kind of coasting along with the times. Some of the stuff in Jay's catalog is dated. Kanye's stuff, because of how he's evolved over the years, he doesn't have that problem. Would you say any of Kanye West's music throughout his career would be considered dated?
maybe 808s, but only because so
Maybe a
many
few.
people have twisted it so
Right,
much.
and he probably wouldn't even play any of that.
It so
Right,
much.
and he probably wouldn't even play any of that.
Mike, he ain't playing no 808s. I didn't even put
No,
not one of them records down. He don't need 808s to beat you.
no.
Like, he don't. They ask me what I do and who I do it for. True.
That's what I'm saying.
Um,
Like, yeah, yeah. I don't. I think that if we talking about a versus with Jay-Z and Kanye West, I got Kanye West winning that, and it's not by a lot. You know, it depends on what records Jay plays. But if
Mike,
you,
then
it's
there's
a
other stuff,
matchup
Mike.
thing. If he
I'm,
goes up against Kanye, it changes what he can play.
Mike, and listen to stuff that like didn't make my cut. The games we play, Shy City, They Say. You want
Oh,
to know?
you didn't even mention any John Legend stuff.
Mike,
Heaven?
actually, I have Live It Up and Let's Get Lifted at the very top. I just don't even know if he needs to play it.
I like
Live It
Live It
Up,
Up.
maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say Live It Up, maybe. Yeah, but I got it on here, Mike.
I like Heaven better than all of those, man. But I'm a Once Again fan. I like
Okay.
Once Again much better than the first album.
Mike, I ain't bought up Mercy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I have a couple of thoughts. First of all, everybody's talked about how regional the verses have been, and you want to know what I think happened? I think because the first big really verses was really regional, which was RZA versus DJ Premier. I think they kind of set a tone, and a couple things happened. So I think they misplayed their hand when they did this, because it's like I was trying to tell you, Mike, if anybody's actually going to beat Dr. Dre, in order to beat him, you have to be a producer.
Right.
And you have to be able to MC at least, or have a catalog with MCs that can beat them. So here's what I'm going to submit to you, Mike. Kanye's the best matchup for all the heavy hitters, because the only way to really beat Dre is one of two ways, and I figured this out today. It's with Kanye's total artist and production catalog put together.
Yep.
You have to be able to take Ye's production and artist catalog, Mike. Or, Mike, and listen to what I'm about to say, and here's where I felt like they got it wrong, and they could have kind of set the proper tone with this, Mike. The real producer versus really should have been RZA versus Dr. Dre, because I realized something today else too. Like, Ye has that all-around catalog. Well, there's only one way to beat like those crisp-ass beats. Grimy ass legendary rhymes and songs. You can't do what he does. You have to offset what he does with your level of greatness. And so lyrically speaking and classic song-wise, there's nobody close to Wu-Tang Clan. And I think the 25, I picked about 36 songs, Mike, but I narrowed it down to 25, what I think are the strongest Wu-Tang songs, period, through the entire camp, with one star song that I'm going to have close the show. And all of these beats are made by RZA. And he would beat Dre if he played these 25 songs, because it's too much for anybody. And I'm going to tell you something right now. The only people not from the Wu-Tang you're going to hear are Nas and Biggie. Good luck with that shit.
Well, you know, I've always said that if we just talk about straight up tracks, RZA probably has more beats in my top 10 or top 20 hip hop tracks than anybody. Like, when you talk about like just straight hitting, like we talk about like an Ice Cream. I mean, as much as I, respect Dr. Dre as a producer, and I think he is possibly the best hip hop producer of all time, we're talking about in totality, but I don't think that he has a beat that I would pick over Ice Cream.
No, and Mike, here's something else, and here's why I said this too, Mike. For as much as we love, like, Dr. Dre, like, if I'm not mistaken, I'll Be There For You was the #1 record in the nation, period.
Yeah.
The video that played was the Razor Sharp mix, produced by who?
Was that Puff, or was that the...
No, the Puff mix was on the radio. The RZA version was on the TV.
I'm sure Puff will bring that to his verses too. The Terminator says the first verses was Swiss and Just Blaze. I remember that one.
I said the big one.
No. Actually, the first one was at Summer Jam when it was Swiss and Kanye. You remember that?
That wasn't that big. The RZA Primo one was.
No, but I'm saying the first one that they actually did.
Yeah.
Now, I remember when the Swiss and Just Blaze one happened on YouTube. Like, I was hyping everybody up on According to Hip Hop for it. And which is interesting to me, because it seems like Just Blaze has been silent during this whole time. And it's like, dude, you were part of the foundation of it. Did they pay Just off or something? Shit. Just doesn't want to do it? They acting like Timberland and Swiss started this, which kind of,
So, Mike, you want to hear my RZA lineup right quick with Fade Dre?
Go ahead.
I didn't have time to put it in order because that's the really tough part, especially depending because Dre got it ain't like it's Dr. Dre. But Mike, Cream, of course. Mike, Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with. Shame on a nigga. Method Man. Protect Your Neck. Bring the Pain. I'll Be There for You. Shimmy Shimmy Ya. Incarcerated Scarfaces. Criminology. Guillotine. Glaciers of Ice. Ice Cream. Verbal Intercourse. Liquid Swords. Living in the World Today. Shadow Boxing. Iron Maiden. Daytona 500. All That I Got Is You.
I mean, this is heat.
Mike, Triumph, Impossible, Long Kiss Goodnight, Buck 50. And let me tell you how I'm ending the show, Mike, because I got one more record left for 25, and we going to play 26 because 25 lead in the 26, and that's Baby Come On, finished off with Brooklyn Zoo.
All right. Well, he didn't produce Brooklyn Zoo.
That's why it's the extra record. That's why we're doing that 25 with Baby Come On. But once you hear Baby Come On and Can I Get a, you know what time it is, and we're going to go ahead and let Brooklyn Zoo play.
As much as I love every single one of those selections, it's going to matter if this Verzuz is taking place in the streets or at the Rock Nation brunch.
Oh, shit.
And so it's like, in a polished environment, I could see Dre's songs, overtaking that, but... yeah, if we talking about on some gritty hip hop shit, that's a tough undertaking for Dre. He's gonna have to play records like "Bitches Ain't Shit," like sonically. You know what I'm saying? Like
he has to play all his sonic best records. Some of his sonic best records aren't his best records. And what I'm trying to say with that is that like if he plays Little Ghetto Boy, oh, he about to get his ass ate.
I love Little Ghetto Boy.
You
know what I like too?
My personal favorite song on The Chronic, but what I'm saying is that if he plays Little Ghetto Boy, don't do that. Incarcerated Scarfaces will come on. And
that's just too hard, man. He gonna have to play stuff like Pump Pump, Murder Was the Case.
That's what I'm saying, Mike. You got to play Murder Was the Case, The Shiznit.
Straight Outta Compton.
Straight Outta Compton, Funky Enough.
What's the song on Niggas for Life? Real Niggas Don't Die. Niggas Don't Die. Shit like that. That shit's hard.
Appetite for Destruction.
Yeah.
You gotta play Keep Cover.
Yeah. Some DOC shit. Yeah.
Yeah, he got to play some of them beats from the DOC album, Mike. Like, he might have to play the formula. Like, he going to have to dig into his stuff about this.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to play, like, some PIMP type stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Right. That's what I'm saying. Wu-Tang brings an element that takes a lot of that. That's what I mean. Like, RZA was the guy for Dre.
You think that's a matchup out there that should happen? I got people in here saying Pharcyde versus Goody Mob. I like that.
Oh, so you want to go to some of the ones that I had? I had A Tribe Called Quest versus The Roots.
I think Tribe versus The Roots should happen. I got Tribe. I want to see that happen.
Mike, no. What I'm trying to tell y'all is that I still would probably pick Tribe. I'm saying it's closer than y'all think. I told you it's more like 56-48. Like
that would be a great show. That would be a great show. I would love to see that.
Yeah. Scarface, Ice Cube.
I would love to see Scarface and Ice Cube. That would be a beautiful thing.
Shout out to Face. Prayers for a speedy recovery.
Definitely.
Foxy Brown versus Lil Kim, Mike. Show the ladies.
Look, respectfully, you think Foxy got enough records for Kim? I'd rather see, you know what? I want to see the Kim and Nicki, man. I know it's a generational split, and they don't have no real life problems. Ain't nobody. Listen, Kim and Foxy got more real life problems than Kim and Nicki do. Don't get it fucked up. So we're talking about a beef being in the way of it. I definitely see the Nicki and Kim thing being able to make more sense than, the Kim and Foxy. But if we just talking straight records, I don't know if Foxy got enough records for Kim. I say that respectfully because Kim got a lot.
I mean, no. Kim definitely should have the advantage in the matchup, but stuff that I think could be done and we want to see, because that would also both give them some much deserved and due time and shine.
Yeah.
a game that they obviously changed because everybody's doing what they started.
No, that's
like
real.
that's like what Foxy and Kim do is literally how the female rap game works now for the most part. And so I think they deserve a night.
I'm with that. But outside of that, do you think that?
But Kim's gonna win. Like Foxy ain't got nothing for no time.
Yeah. Do you
Crush
think?
on you,
How do you
Queen
think that?
Bitch. I love Queen Bitch.
Oh, it's crazy. How do you think that the Kim and Nicki would pan out? How do you think that would, turn out?
Hey, Mike. I mean, if I had to pick one female in a versus, like it would be Kim. Like period.
Yeah.
Like whoever would be on the other side, even if I thought the other person was better, even if I liked the other person more.
What? Oh, okay.
What you gonna do when
There's
she plays
two things.
Mike,
We got two
Mike.
people who we say have the best female catalogs, and I'm with you with the Kim thing. How do you think Kim would fare against Missy in a versus? If Missy just did her rap shit.
Mike, it's not gonna work when that Players Anthem verse come on. Remember the Junior Mafia stuff? Get Money. Can I Take You Home? Players Anthem. Players Anthem remix.
We got people mentioning the Brat. What do you think about the Brat and Kim?
Shut up. Hey, little Kim the Black Erica Kanan, who remains in Chanel frames and animals of all kind.
What do you think about the Brat and Kim?
I don't think the Brat has enough after Funkdified and Pieces of Another Tantrum. Like, there's a couple pieces on Another Tantrum that are dope, and Funkdified is a classic to me. And there's like stuff like the B-side with Biggie, so enough, and she could have some run with it. But I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'd pick Kim if you gave me anybody. Mike, it's too much for anybody. Mike, the verse on Another, on Life After Death, Crush on You, like Mike, this ain't even getting into her later stuff like the Jump Off with Mr. Cheeks, Push Your Lighters Up, the stuff from the Notorious Kim. No matter what people say, how many licks, like she got a little bit of stuff everywhere. She got stuff for the head. She got stuff for the fellas.
I think that the Kim and Nicki.
No time might be the biggest like rap song a female ever made, Mike. I don't think people understand that's a rap classic, Mike. Like, is it? I mean, UNITY, No Time. Aren't those the two biggest?
What you mean biggest? Like charts? No.
I don't even mean charts, Mike.
You
I
just
mean
talking about hitting.
Like most memorable record by a female artist. Period. Like when No Time still gets played on the radio, Mike.
I love No Time. It's one of my favorites.
No, it's epic, Mike.
It's my favorite from her, definitely. But yeah, I think that the Kim and Nicki will break records. So I would want to see the Kim and Nicki, for obvious reasons. I would like to see the Kanye and Kanye again. Reggie says Missy versus Busta. I don't like that for Missy because Busta got the hardcore shit.
But he's too far ahead of Missy, too. Missy's like 97. I don't think people understand. Busta's like 89, 90. It's not fair.
All right, and I like the Quest and the Roots, too. Who else you got?
I got a couple of interesting ones. Like, I want to know what people think about this one because there's been so much talk about how regional it is. What do you think about Kendrick Lamar versus Lil Wayne, Mike?
I think that's not a fair matchup for Kendrick.
Wow.
I don't. Listen, this is the thing with Kendrick. Kendrick has dope albums, and I think we covered that, right? We were talking about the fact that Kendrick has dope albums. But when we talk about individual songs and smash hits and shit like that, he kind of comes up a little bit less than some of his contemporaries. I would rather see, if we want to talk Lil Wayne, I don't know, man. I think T.I. might be his best matchup in that way. Or if we're talking about, but see, Wayne's done way too, like his career, it might be Wayne and Busta, man. I know it's different times, but they have long careers. They have transitioned and transcended different eras. They're very similar in that way. I would like to see Wayne and Busta.
I mean, people don't understand. Like Wayne, even though he seemed like from a different era, Wayne and like Cash Money only came out like a year or two after Jay.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So I can feel you on that. I got a couple more I want to run down to get your thoughts. And this is just me playing around. Ross versus The Game.
Of course, we want to see Ross versus The Game. That needs to happen.
Mike, I got a fun one for the streets, Mike. You're going to love this. Pusha T versus Conway.
I don't know if Conway got enough notable records
He's creeping
to
though,
Push.
and
Because
I think
Pusha
he
comes from
done.
an era where radio mattered. You know what I'm saying? And Pusha got those.
You might have a point, Mike. What do you think about LL Cool J versus Slick Rick?
I don't know if Slick Rick got enough material for L. But the stuff that Slick does have is epic.
That's why I like it, because the stuff that he does have makes it interesting. Because
I still want to see KRS and LL.
Isn't his best at what he does best better than LL's best at what he does best?
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, there's nobody that does what Slick Rick does better than. Yeah. That area that Slick Rick is great in, it's epic.
And so when he's, and there's some effect too. That's some live effect with Slick Rick too. You know what I'm saying?
Somebody said Rhapsody versus any female. What do you think about Rhapsody possibly stepping into a ring in that way? Does she have enough notable records?
I love Rhapsody. I would say notable records is going to probably be a mark that could hurt her depending on which female she was up against. Like if she's up against Muhammadiyah, that wouldn't hurt her. But like if she's up against you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Man, listen, I ain't gonna front, man. I don't
know if she has enough just yet, but although I think she's getting there.
Listen, man.
I love Rhapsody. I told you, Mike, if I would pick a representative of an MC from my home state of North Carolina, she would actually be the MC I pick. I would actually be picking her.
I'm trying to sell some tickets.
She embodies like the culture of MCing there to me the most. Not saying she's better than Cole, because I don't think that. Saying she embodies Carolina in the craft of MCing about Carolina more to me.
Listen, respectfully, man.
I can hear the New York influence on Cole.
I'm trying to sell tickets, so I'm liking the Nicki and Kim thing. I'm liking the Kanye versus Kanye. I like the Quest and the Roots. I also I would rather LLKRS if we're gonna go there. I love the Rawson and Game. You don't like that for L? I don't know. I think the L has the hits on his side.
Mike, you just seen what KRS did live. You were there.
Of course. I love the Scarface and Ice Cube too.
I love the Scar. I have in order, my top 3 were your Kanye versus Kanye at number 1, Tribe and the Roots at 2, and Scarface Ice Cube at 3.
And you know what? I still want to see the Bone Thugs and Harmony in 3-6. I still want to see that. But you know what? Bone doesn't want that.
Don't want none of that, man. Don't want none of that.
Obviously. I want to see. Listen, I want to see 3-6 in somebody, but there's nobody else other than Bone.
Pimp C's gone. 8 Ball and MJG, a nice little Tennessee.
Well, you know what would be cool if Bun B and Havoc got together and they did a Mobb Deep and UGK.
I'd be cool with that, Mike. I was just talking to my man Kendrick about the Infamous, and now it's just I love the Infamous.
Because I think for what Mobb Deep was for New York, that's what UGK was down here on some underground shit.
No, you're right, Mike.
You know?
I have to agree with and echo those sentiments. Both lead artists are,
Is there, right, rest in peace to Pimp C and Prodigy. Is there a matchup for Common? Have we found a matchup for Common? Because we keep talking about all these other people, and I think that's one of the reasons why his placement in the overall scheme of things is so complexing, because who's the matchup for Common in a Verzuz?
Mike, I tried today, and I failed. I really don't have anything else other than that. I tried to place him with somebody, and, we'll call it time constraints, I guess. I didn't have time to find an appropriate placement.
In the chat, let me ask the people in the chat, who would you match Common up with in a Verzuz? I see people always say Mos Def, but
Mike, if you know who from Outkast had a solo catalog, he would be the most appropriate matchup, probably.
Someone said Common versus Talib. That was the first one that came to mind, but in my mind, I mean, I'm gonna be honest. Talib just doesn't have enough big records to go against Common.
Big records and notoriety. Because they do some of the same things, and Common's records are just bigger, and he's just so much more well known. I don't like that for Talib.
I heard The Light today. I was like, man, this was a massive record. I found myself rapping the whole thing.
Mike, I mean,
People are saying Common
Mike,
versus Most
Mike,
Def. Does
Mike,
Most
you
Def
want to
have
know
enough?
what? No, Mike. I just wrote down Most Def / 3000. So I'm gonna give Common some flowers right now. We really can't hold it against him because the two artists he probably should be going against are Most and 3000, and they just haven't made enough records to actually come play with him. And that's sad because I think we both think that Most and 3000 are better MCs than Common.
They're more talented MCs, I guess, word for word, bar for bar. But we have to
They're
give.
inherently better MCs, but they
But
don't
we
have the
have to
catalog to
give.
speak to that.
But we have to give Common the leg up over them because he actually did the work. He actually has
No,
the catalog.
no, absolutely. No. I'm saying the biggest problem for him in the verses right now may be that his two most viable opponents or opposition or whatever this is didn't do enough material to actually fuck with him, even though they're inherently like more gifted as MCs.
I'm seeing Thought's name pop up. Would you be more willing to? Do you think it would be a better versus to have the Roots go against Common, or
See,
the
that's
Roots
what I'm
against
saying.
Tribe?
I don't like that for Common because when you're talking about Black Thought, the root stuff comes into play, and this is live. Let's not, Mike. If it's live, you're not gonna bring a live band. So that's why I say Tribe, because Tribe actually has a better catalog than the Roots, and they have Q-Tip that offsets some of the live band, and Black Thought is a nasty ass MC effect. It's a more balanced act.
Right.
Yeah, and I don't want this to sound like too harsh, but if Common were to go against the Roots, like it wouldn't go well.
But what if this became one of those things where, because they all work together, right? What if this became one of those things where they worked it out where the Roots were the backup band for both MCs in this versus?
If the Roots are the backup band for both MCs, it's a more fair fight. Mike, Black Thought is a Rock M Nas level lyricist.
I feel you, but Common has the bigger songs.
Better,
does he not?
Better than both of them live. That's what I'm saying, Mike. When you're saying that he's got the bigger songs, like Mike, it's like, let's stop acting like You Got Me is not a big record. Let's stop acting like What They Do is not a big record.
I think The Light's better than You Got Me.
I don't agree.
I'm not mad at that. I mean, it's very close, but I think The Light is
like
a better
if we're talking
record.
like hip hop love songs, we're talking like probably like my 4 and 5 or like my 5 and 6.
Yeah.
But like they've made other stuff like Break You Off was a hit. Yeah.
Give Me Come Close.
Mike, give me Next Movement was pretty dope. Like they've done stuff, Mike.
Next Movement's cool, but you know what? Give me I'm not gonna say that one. I was gonna say Thelonious, but I was gonna go 6 Cents.
Adrenaline, 100% Dundee, Concerto of the Desperado, The Hypnotic, Respawn, React, Push Up Your Lighter, Clones.
I Used to Love Her, Resurrection,
Proceed.
Hungry.
Proceed.
I think this is a good one, actually.
No Pretender.
I think this is kind of like the only. I'm sorry. Come on, let's be real, man. I Used to Love Us better than Proceed.
Don't say nothing. Stay Cool. The Star intro to The Tipping Point. The Boom where he does the Cool G Rap and Kane impersonation. I told you, Mike, that's the showstopper. Like that's when this
I
is what
got
I'm
you
talking
started on the Roots now.
so this is what I'm talking about the live component to Thought, Mike. One of those records that Common has that's bigger. Oh, Thought gonna snatch that record when he impersonates Cool G Rap and Kane live with a band behind him. Go and give me one of them big records. Snatch.
Listen, I like that matchup for Common where it's the Roots. You got Black Thought on one side, Common on one side, and the Roots are backing both MCs. Like
Mike,
that.
If that's it, let's do it. And we can take that over Tribe because also, too, I mean, and you know, and part of why I picked the Tribe versus Roots things, too, is that the sidekicks aren't there. Malik B and Fife, much like Prodigy and Pimp C, they not here either, Mike. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. I like the Tribe and Roots thing, too. I would love to see that. Somebody mentioned Eminem in the chat. Who would you match Eminem with in a versus?
We're not gonna make it to the Rock Nation brunch like that, Mike. I'm not even trying to start those types of problems.
I mean, he
Much like the name of Mobb Deep's second album, the infamous. We're infamous right now, Mike. In order to make the Rock Nation brunch, we're gonna have to cut some of the infamous.
Okay. All right. Well, all right. Let me look at it like this. Did y'all realize though that they're picking actual winners of the verses? Like I went to Versus Wikipedia page. Long story short, and
what made you do that?
no, actually, my boy Brandon told me. He was like, "Yo, I went to the Wikipedia page for Versus, and they actually are picking winners." And he was like, "Go to it when you get a chance. And anybody out there who's in front of your computer or whenever you get a chance, go to your computer, go to Versus, and they have all these matchups, and they have winners. They said DJ Premier beat RZA, and they got Ludacris beating Nelly, which I don't have a problem with. They had Jadakiss beating Fabulous. I think it was 5-9 with 2 ties, and then they said DMX beat Snoop 12-10 with 4 ties. So basically, no. All right. So long story short, they are basing these scores off of Billboard magazine, right? And Billboard does these scorecards and they do these breakdowns. And I guess Versus is recording these. I don't know if Timbaland and Swiss know that this is happening, but when people look at this in the future, they're going to actually see that there were winners and losers in this thing. And I went to look at the articles of Billboard, and here's the gentleman who actually writes these articles. He looked to be pretty young. I don't see how he was able to even score the Gladys Knight and Patti LaBelle one, let alone the Snoop and DMX. But yeah, his name is Michael Sapanera or something like that. Yeah, looks to be around like, I don't know. He has to be under 25. So some of the songs that he saw that were beating the other songs, I was like, how are you coming up with this? But I think it's problematic that there are winners and losers here if they're not going to call it that night, and that Billboard is actually determining this. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what are we doing here? Do you feel like, well, we talk about it. We scored the Fat Joe and Ja Rule the other day. I think that there needs to be a collective poll with something like that, you know, and a discussion to follow it too, because some of these, when we talking about this Snoop Dogg and DMX one, man, rest in peace DMX, some of these songs just aren't better than the other. And I'm sorry. Like, they had the Shiznick and Get It on the Floor a tie. This guy had the Shiznick and Get It on the Floor as a tie. There was another one that was very, very problematic when we talk about, I think it was the It Ain't No Fun. He had It Ain't No Fun losing to something crazy, man. I'll find it. But yeah, man, I was like, I didn't realize that they had winners and losers in Versus. I don't know if they should. I think that's just something for people to talk about. I think in certain situations it was clear. Like, it was clear that the Lox outperformed the Dipset. But for the most part, it's a celebration, man. And I think that if Common and Black Thought did it being backed by the Roots, man, that would be a celebration. Did you have any other ones that were like ones that you think should happen?
No, Mike, that's about as far as I got as far as the day. I was just throwing some things out, some more viable than others. I kind of like had those top 3 highlighted because I feel like those are like viable.
Okay, so we got...
Because here's the thing, man. If you call Kanye and was like, hey, Kanye, we want you to go up against yourself in a Versus. Oh, he would do that shit.
He would do it. That's why I think it's the perfect one.
Y'all finally giving me my due. Y'all got me up against me. Finally, how it's supposed to be.
Exactly.
Mike, he gonna be right. Mike, he gonna be right back down here in the stadium.
He gonna do that joint in the stadium with the mask on.
He gonna be like out. He gonna be at the Atlanta. Mike, the Braves about to make the playoffs. He gonna be at SunTrust Park. Big chilling, like, yeah, y'all know what's going down. It's Ye versus Ye, right?
Yes. That is a stadium event right there. Kanye versus Kanye would be the biggest event of the year. I want to see it happen. And please, anybody out there who makes those decisions, go ahead. Take our ideas, fine. Call up Kanye now.
No, Mike, you want to know
Do it for the culture.
No, he can have my money then, Mike. I want to see that.
So yeah, I'm gonna say I want to see Kanye versus Kanye first. I
Yeah.
really want to see this Kim and Nicki, man. I think that can happen.
I mean, if
Um,
you think it can happen, I don't think it's going to happen, Mike.
I want to see the Scarface versus Ice Cube.
They really love and respect each other. That's why I think that's a realistic possibility, and it gives us, and it gives like people from another generation to like hear two authors of like the gangster rap genre. Like these are like authors and forefathers at this point, and they made some epic stuff.
And
Like
you know, I said this last show.
Stop.
I said this last show, and you know, I don't know if you listened to this the newest T.I. interview. He talked about a whole lot, man. It was with DJ Scream and Big Black. He was talking about a whole lot. He basically said he's done with the game. This album's gonna be his last album. I truly believe him because he said, man, he just don't give a fuck anymore. He don't care about trying to be this, and this. He set out to do what he was gonna do. He did it, and now it's time for other people to do it. But I do think that T.I. needs to just go ahead and answer the Busta Rhymes call. There's nothing else out there. If he's not gonna go against somebody else in the South, you got the Lil Wayne out there. I wish it would have been him and Ludacris instead. Maybe him and Rick Ross, that probably would be cool. But if he wants to take on a New Yorker, there's not a New Yorker left for him but Busta Rhymes. And especially since Busta Rhymes actually called him on it.
I mean, if 50 were to like circle back around and like accept T.I.'s challenges, well, everybody's like, well, didn't T.I. duck Busta? And I'm like, well, didn't 50 duck T.I.?
50 duck T.I., yes. Because he's not one of those people that didn't say he wouldn't do a versus at all. He was all down with doing the verses until he got called out by T.I. I don't know if he feels like T.I. isn't on his level. Again, I don't see how he would think that because T.I. came out before him and was making records after him. You know, I think both are great artists. Same thing with this Puff and JD thing. It's like JD was making hits before you, while you were doing it, after you were doing it. So, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, I want to see the Puff and JD too, by the way. I add that.
JD got that Janet remix in the bag too. Like, okay.
Yeah, I want to see Puff and JD. Well, first of all, I want to see the Kanye versus Kanye. Kanye the artist versus Kanye the producer first.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see Puff and JD because Puff talking mad-ish. Mm-hmm. I want to see Kim versus Nicki. I want to see Tribe versus The Roots. I would like to see Common in The Roots. People are saying T.I. and Ross. I would rather see T.I. and Wayne instead of seeing T.I. and Busta. But I think Wayne and Busta might be a good one, really.
I like what you presented with the Wayne and Busta because my thing with Wayne and T.I., although their peaks happened around the same time, volume of material is not the same, and Wayne precedes him by some years. That's why I keep trying to tell people. It's like, I mean, Mike, I remember the Bee Gees album from when me and Wayne are the same age, from when Wayne was 13.
Listen, I think Wayne also changes what Busta can do. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if T.I. really changes the trajectory of what Busta's going to play. Because with Wayne, you're kind of going to be forced to stay in the 2000s. You know what I'm saying?
No, that's not going to work for Busta against Wayne. He can't do that. He's going to have to play his 90s stuff.
Yeah, he's going to have to. Disaster Strikes is epic.
It's classic rap stuff. It's what's going to get the crowd to gravitate for him, even if Wayne's hits are more recent and some of them bigger, possibly.
What do you feel like if Busta goes into the woo-ha stuff and then Wayne goes into the Cash Money stuff? Both are very extreme nostalgic, extremely nostalgic, for the people who they're close to. You know what I'm saying? People that are close to that stuff.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So woo-ha, everything remains raw. Put your hands where my eyes can see, bling bling, like the clock is hot. No, like that's all fair game. That's kind of part of what would make it fun is that we would hear like how they've transcended through eras.
You don't think that Wayne has a verse somewhere for Back That Ass Up? They did the high remixes and stuff too.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but it would be interesting because it's like Busta got the like "Look at Me Now" verse. He's got the "Flavor in Your Ear" verse. He's
Well,
got the
Wayne's on that
Semantic
song
verse.
too. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, and you got songs like
Busta's
Rich
better on
Niggas.
the record.
Huh?
I said, and Busta's better
Well,
on the
Busta's the
record.
better rapper, in my opinion. You know, I'm sure there are people who would say otherwise,
What
but
year was that? Was that the verse of the year that year? Do you think? Busta's
I gotta remember. I don't know what
that
all
year.
came out, but yeah, that probably lasted the longest. Like that shit was a standout.
Yeah.
That was kind of Busta's.
That was his resurgent verse.
Yeah, that was a resurgence.
It's
That's
like,
the
oh,
word I
that
was
old,
looking
it's
for.
like, oh, that dude still rap like that on that level? Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you know what? You said that you had a list of top 20 hip hop songs of all time. What was some of
I
the?
lied.
Because I
I
know
lied.
that, we want to collectively, I mean, I guess just let the people know, we want to collectively come together with a list, the top hip hop songs of all time. I know that Rolling Stone just did a list of top 100 songs or whatever. They got Aretha Franklin's, they got Aretha Franklin's Respect at number one. But again, we've seen the writers that put this stuff
Mike, they got
together.
Respect over Natural Woman?
Yeah, they do. We've seen the writers that put this stuff
Natural-
together. Who knows who put this together? But
how can okay?
we
the vocal
figured to
performance
actually
from-
do something like this accurately that we would need the input of people. You know what I'm saying? And you people in the chat, what are some of the best hip hop songs of all time? I'm gonna give you the floor on what some of the songs were that you put together.
So I'm going to tell you actually how this conversation like really got started. Me and my man Kendron, we were like texting each other last night, and he was just telling me, he was like, I feel like Rewind by Nas is the best rap song ever. And I was like, and when he said it, I was like, I told him, I was like, I've never had this conversation about the greatest songs of all time with somebody's whose opinion I respect that's inserted that into the conversation. And he was like, well, the tiebreaker is that it's backwards. And
well, the thing is, that's more of a creative thing, right? Now, if we're talking about the most creative songs lyrically, I would say yes. But there's more to a song than just that.
So before we get into this, I want to say that because it doesn't have the epic moment or feel of the songs that I'm about to make, I get what Kendron is saying. And so here's what I think Rewind probably is. Rewind's probably the best B-side ever. It's probably the best album record ever if you were to start measuring things on all level, like lyrical skill, timing, flow, vocal performance, execution. Because Mike, when I listened to the record, because me and him were having an I Gave You Power Rewind conversation, because I told him I always thought Nas's best concept meets execution moment was I Gave You Power. And he's like, well, that's a story too, and lyrically might be better. He was like, but Coop, he's like, it's in reverse. And this is what he said that is really telling about it. He was like, he's telling it in reverse and you understand it clearly, even from the first time you hear it. He said, that's almost impossible. He said, most of these dudes tell you a story forward and you need to listen to it again because it lacks clarity.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
If Eminem made Rewind, there would be a music video for it. But
Correct. And so Rewind's greatest injustice, Mike, when I look at it, is actually the fact that it's literally on an album with Ether, and track-wise, it's stuck between One Mic and You're the Man, one of his best nostalgic records and one of his biggest hits. It kind of gets lost, but my man Kendron is right. If I was picking the B-side and we had to measure it out, it would be Rewind. And also, too, and so with that, it made me realize that the reason Rewind can't make my list is because the biggest rap songs of all time need visual aids, Mike. And that's the number one reason I can't put Rewind on the list.
I think the biggest songs of all time damn near have to be a single, too. Because when you start going into album songs being considered that, then anybody could start pulling songs out everywhere.
Mike, and I totally agree with you, and that's why every one of these 25 songs that I've picked have been a single that have a video to them. And so I wrote some records down that aren't going to make this list because of what I just said. Like, I don't know Who Shot You. You feel me?
Okay, to give people, and everybody's putting a whole bunch of songs in the chat, and I'm going to get to those songs in the chat too. I think I just said earlier in the show that Welcome to the Terror Dome is my favorite Public Enemy song. But if I had to do a list, I'm putting
Right.
Fight the Power over that to put
So,
all
Mike,
that in,
well, let's get started with the
context.
first song that I wrote down on my list, Mike, because you just named it, Mike. It's Fight the Power. And I still think it's the best rap song of all time.
I'm
I
not mad at
can't,
that.
I mean, Mike, I'm not even going to wax about it. Like, Fight the Power. Like, if I got to explain that shit to you and like what hip hop and like what this culture means and like what's going on, what's been going on, what other song embodies like what's going on with us in this culture? Listen to
And you know, the,
Mike, Mike, when you hear the name of the group is Public Enemy. The name of the song is Fight the Power. Like, you know what time it is.
and you know, and it's not even just the message, it's just sonically how
And
it
it's brilliant.
matches the
No.
intensity. There's a lot of positive rap records, and it's interesting how Public Enemy, there's a lot of people who've taken that conscious lane that Public Enemy took, but no one really hits it with that level of aggression sonically. Like that
No.
shit sounds like, no, it's time to move.
It's revolutionary.
Yeah,
Mike.
like that's stuff
Right.
you can listen to in the gym. And you
Right.
know, a lot of these conscious rappers, you know, you can't listen to their shit in the gym unless they
No.
change up their message.
Very happy.
The fact that Public Enemy is able to stay on message and give you that aggression, that makes them one of a kind to me.
One of ones in a one of one type of song. So
Yeah.
Fight the Power. And after that, I didn't have any necessary order, but I'm gonna run down my list. Award Tour by A Tribe Called Quest.
Mm-hmm.
They Reminisce Over You by Pete Rock and CL Smooth. Dear Mama by Tupac Shakur. One More Chance remix by the Notorious B.I.G.
Beautiful record.
Yep. I'll Be There For You, the Razor Sharp mix by Method Man featuring Mary J. Blige. Cream by Wu-Tang Clan. Nothing But a G Thing, Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg. My Mind Playing Tricks on Me, Ghetto Boys, has a video, thank God. Gin and Juice, Snoop Dogg. Mike, Jesus Walks, Kanye West.
I was gonna ask you if you had any songs in the 2000s in there.
Jesus Walks, Kanye West.
Okay.
Never Seen a Man Die, Scarface.
Great record. Chilling,
Shook Ones Part 2, Mobb Deep.
of course.
The World Is Yours, Nas. Children's Story, Slick Rick. Mike, What You Know About That by T.I.
You're very high on that song. That song was huge.
Mike,
And
it was the best rap song that year. It's one of the best rap songs of all time. I told you if I was picking one record to come out of this city that we had to tote around, that's the record I'm toting around, and I'm going to stand on it.
I think everybody's clear that that's T.I.'s best song. I remember when I first heard the record, and I knew immediately. And this is at a time where what? He's on King. We done heard all the In the Streets. We done heard the Down with the King. We done heard all the other albums. I'm like, this is his best song ever.
Mike, I might surprise you with my next two selections and surprise everybody because I kind of surprised myself. But Mike, Bling Bling and Ha are revolutionary.
Ha is revolutionary.
So is Bling Bling. Bling Bling is in the dictionary, Mike.
It is. It is. But
actually
Ha is a
Wayne's
game changer.
And Mike, and here's what I mean. Wayne can still tote that around, and that's BG's record. That's how legendary he.
So you don't think that Back That Thing Up is in this conversation? Because that's a song, and I always tell people, we're gonna hear that song for the rest of our lives.
That's because of like the rhetoric, but Mike, I'm gonna say Bling Bling and Ha. I think those are the moments, and they're big moments. Mike.
Ha put Cash Money on the map, but Back That Thing Up took Cash Money to where it got to.
See, I don't agree with that. I think Bling Bling, when Bling Bling dropped, was when like I realized they were having a moment, Mike, because they had been on a run for a minute. Juvenile had his run. BG dropped Cash Money as an army, and then they came out with Bling Bling. I'm like, oh, so it's just okay. I'm like, yeah.
Back That Thing Up was on TRL, man. These guys weren't even supposed to be on TRL.
Like, I'm not saying it's not a monster. I'm just saying I'm gonna take Ha and Bling Bling. And Mike, California Love, Juicy. Mike, you're gonna like this, Mike. when I looked at it, I was like, I think Ice Cream is one of the 25 best rap songs. That beat, Mike.
Can I be 100% right here?
Yep.
And I say this respectfully, because you know how I feel about Biggie.
Yeah.
I don't like Juicy as much as most people do. I don't. I don't, man. Like I don't. I liked it when it came out. Maybe it's overplayed or something. I don't know, man.
It's overplayed, Mike. You're tripping.
I don't
It's
think Juicy is one of.
Mike. I mean, I play Mikey. When I play Ready to Die, I skip over Juicy and I play Everyday Struggle. But that's just how I do. Like Juicy is still what like it is. Like,
when I play Life, you're right. Whenever I play Ready to Die, I'm not playing Juicy. You
Mike,
know what?
But Mike, this is what I'm talking about. Like hip hop is about moments and memories, and like Mike, when that beat drops, Mike, I've been in like I've been in international clubs, Mike. I've been in clubs with mixed crowds. I've been in all black clubs, Mike. When that song comes on, every person in the building knows every single last word.
It's one of those.
Dream. I used to read Word Up magazine. So Mike, people start looking at each other and vibing. No, it's a whole thing.
Listen, no, I understand why it's on the list. I'm just being honest. Like I never, it's not one of my favorites. Even from just
Mike,
his
let's
catalog.
go to something that you do like, Mike. What would I told you if I thought Sipping on Some Scissor by 3-6 was one of the 25 best rap songs?
Really? It's not one of my favorites from them either.
Mike, I think it's their best single. Mike, I think it's their best single, and you want to know why I like it?
Who run it's their best single? If we want to talk commercial shit and being able to balance it, who run it's their best?
No, Mike, but it's not their best performance.
Tear the Club Up's their best. I'm sorry.
Mike, will you let me finish?
No, yeah, go ahead.
There are these two guys from Port Arthur, Texas, that are on Sipping on Some Scissor, and man, they showed out on that record.
They did.
And so that was I don't think people remember, that was a moment when they got together to do that. Yeah. And after that, Mike, you're going to like this too. My last choice was actually Cell Therapy by Goody Mob.
Cell Therapy is one of the greatest hip hop songs ever made.
And you want to know what else I realized in all this too? There's not one Outkast record on here because Outkast is actually more great at the B side than the A side. Benzorabima, Over the Woods.
Yeah.
Hootie Hoo.
Their singles are. What is Outkast's best single to you?
Elevators.
I'm not mad at that. I would say Elevators or Bonds Over Bad Dad. And I say Bonds Over Bad Dad because, again, I've said before, I think that one song encapsulates what that group is about, like in all, you know what I mean? Like if there was one song that you could play for someone to understand what kind of group this is, I'm playing Bombs Over Bad Dad.
And Mike, I did put a star by one record though, and I didn't quite know how to qualify it, and I wanted to know what you thought about it, Mike. When I look back at Outkast's first rap group to win Album of the Year, first rappers to win Album of the Year, correct?
Yeah. I mean, well, Lauren technically, but yeah.
Not a rap album.
I got
There's
you.
no rap.
Yeah.
Not enough rap to qualify as a rap album. So, Mike, the two big singles off each side were Hey Ya, which took almost all the recognition. But the other single, Mike, The Way You Move. Big Boy with Sleepy Brown, Mike. I got a star next to that record. That would be the next record that I would actually put in here. That
I'm
record was
surprised
massive.
that you don't have a Paid in Full or I Ain't No Joke or My Philosophy. Or The Message.
Mike, no, I'm sorry. I got Eric B as president. I must have missed one. I do have Eric B as president right here. I thought I said that.
Yeah, Eric B as president is one
That's
of the
my
greatest.
bad. I have Children's Story and Eric B as president right next to each other. That's my bad.
Gotcha.
Okay. That's my bad, Mike. When you were saying that, I was like, who the hell are you talking to, Mike? Like, you know what's like? No. That's my bad. Yeah, I got Eric B as president on here. That just means I missed one. We got into the bling bling hot thing, and I skipped over it by accident.
Okay. The Terminator says no incarcerated Scarfaces.
Not his like 25. I picked Ice Cream over Incarcerated Scarfaces because, well, one, and it seems crazy to say this, the beat is slightly better. And Meth on the hook and the bridge and the verses and the whole video with
Ice
the
Cream is
truck
better
and
than Incarcerated
RZA ringing the bell on the ice cream truck. You know, it's just...
Listen, man, that's one of the moments that changed my life. I say that song and when Method Man and Redman did How High. That song.
Like I thought about how high.
How high is a game changer for me personally?
You want to know? So here's the thing, Mike. Can I tell you something about how high? I actually like the version they put on the radio more than the original that went on the soundtrack. I do.
Oh, me too.
That's why I didn't pick it. Okay, so I didn't know which version to pick, Mike, because both of them, like, yeah.
You talking about the fly, Robin, fly.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, lyric at your door. It's a cow, bring it to that ass raw. Breaking all the rules like glass jaws, fucker.
I mean, look, that song, that's their first collaboration. And they just sounded like they were supposed to be together.
The cows stays open like an all-night store, for real.
Hey, but that last verse that Redman had on there, man. That last verse that Redman had on there.
In your existence, MET.
I slip like the clutch with the ruck. Examine my nuts, I don't stop till I get enough. 6 million ways to die, so I chose. Made it 6 million and one with their eyes closed, a blindfold, cold, so you can feel the rap.
And shatter the glass in second half on your funky ass. Hey, yo, my man.
Yo, man, I'm sorry, man. That for me, that's a personal one. I love that.
That's what I'm saying. That was personal for me. That's personal for me. Yeah, that's personal.
That whole Blackout album too, which came years later. That shit was personal for me too. I really wish that Red and Meth would have dropped the album in '96 when they were on that shit. But when they dropped Blackout, I loved it still, man. Like, that's a personal favorite for me.
RZA produced Run for Cover on there. That was one of those RZA beats I had written down, like in the pocket, that people forgot about.
Oh, Run for Cover was crazy, and Ghostface went sick on there. So did Street Life. It's the cynical, critical, rap individual. On my deathbed, I spit sick flows is critical. I'm not a fan of this. I'm a Mike Vandalist. Thug Therapist. My clan's too original. I liked Serial Killer, too, on there.
Yeah. No, they had some stuff on there.
Yeah, so, all right, from that list and what we see in the chat here, man, I think we're going to be able to try to compile a top 20 list. Now, what I was going to ask you, what were some things that you considered when putting this list together?
Like Mike, I felt like you did. I thought, to be fair, it needed to have a video, be a single, not necessarily the first single, but it needed to be a single. It needed to have a video. It needed to be considered to be a hip hop classic song that was considered to be a classic, not only like on hip hop radio, but also like within our culture. So that would kind of be my caveats. Like, that's what I mean. That's why records like Who Shot You and Life's a Bitch are not on here. Like, Life's a Bitch is better than The World Is Yours to me, and Who Shot You is better than Juicy. But
people are bringing up Life's a Bitch in here too, yeah.
Mike, literally on the B side of my list, I have Who Shot You, Life's a Bitch, The Evils, Verbal Intercourse, in order. Like, I feel you.
Incredible records, but yeah,
Mike, I got Jackin' for Beats, Benz or a Beamer, Thought Process, Armed Robbery, Hootie Hoo, Drink Away the Pain, 1,000,001 Questions, Rhyme No More.
1,000,001 special. 1,000,001 special.
You want to know, Mike? You want to know what I realized? I like to beat the rhyme no more than the 1,000,001 Questions. Actually.
Do you? I can't say that. I
just realized it the other day when it came on.
What did you think about the music video that Nas dropped for Brunch on Sundays?
It's like he's flexing, Mike. I've never seen him flex like this. I told you he's having like the year of his career. I was like, is he doing a video like with like famous people? He got comedians in there. He's got record producers in there.
You know what it looked like to me?
LeBron.
It looked like the Rock Nation brunch to me. Did it not? I got some images of it. What do you people in the chat think?
Where's my invitation?
Huh?
No one working on my invitation.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Does Nas ever go to the Rock Nation brunch? Or I wonder.
Nas has never been to no Rock Nation brunch. That's cool. Jesus, put me on the list.
Is Nas about to start his own brunch?
No problems.
Oh, is Nas about to start his own brunch? Because if so, I want to come. I think that. Didn't it just have the feel of like a good grown up like vibe? Like, it was just cool. It wasn't like overplayed. Like, Mike, it's kind of like he's intentionally not trying too hard. And I think it's because, you want to know what? These records came really easy. They did. They just have, like you said, it was just living life, having a good time, good vibes, good people, and good music. That, and, you know, and that's why I'm really leaning towards not this KD2 being album of the year. It feels good. It feels natural. And for him to be doing this at this stage of his career, you have somebody like T.I. who came out well after Nas, who's ready to just say, fuck it, bow out, I'm good. But Nas is able to continue to keep going without having that pressure of answering to being the king of New York or whatever, whatever. He's just making some dope music because he's inspired to do so. And you know, and no knock at Tip, because I think T.I. is just no longer inspired to do what he's doing musically. So he just say, you know what, I'm cool until I'm inspired again, possibly.
No, Mike, I mean, you have to be careful about how you play this game. So one of the things that, like I've always said, is that, like, Nas didn't really play the game. Like the game, he didn't really play it that long. The only time Nas actually played the game is on a couple singles on It Was Written and I Am. Other than that, he's kind of been more into cultivating and just crafting whatever sound he's looking for next. That serves you well in a marathon, maybe not in a sprint. That's why I told you this is the year of his career, because really what's happened is that everybody who's always been in competition with him and dropped stuff that was comparable, like all that, like he's outlasted everybody. Yeah. And it's just like kind of him standing there at the finish line, and he's kind of like, "Oh yeah, I'm here. Like cool. Like yeah, let's do this again."
I've always said this about Jay. He's in no man's land because we haven't really seen hip hop do this and last this long for an individual. But Nas is actually the one that is in a league of his own at this point. I mean, because you know, I think Snoop came out in '93. And you know what? I want to clear up something from the show the other day. We were saying that I Am came out in '98. It actually came out in '99. I forgot that he dropped I Am and Nostradamus the same year. But yeah. Anyway, Snoop came out in '93. But Common came out in '92. Common's still doing it as well. But
I thought Can I Borrow a Dollar was '91, but okay.
Was it '91? Thought it was 92.
No, Unsigned Hype in the Source in '91. Can I Borrow a Dollar '92? Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think it's '92.
And Common's still making quality material, even though we were, you know, critical of the effort that he just put out. He's still putting out quality material, but Nas is putting out very inspired material, sounds like. And, you know, it is very tough, I would imagine, to be in the game damn near 30 years and still find a way to be inspired by the music.
But this is what I'm saying. I don't know if he's necessarily inspired by the music. I think the life that he's living and the fun that he's having and is inspiring him. I told you I like Brunch on Sundays because it sounds like you want to know what? This sounds like a record he wanted to make because he really does go have brunch with the homies on Sundays and pop some bottles and chill and enjoy life a little bit. Like that's really what he's doing. It sounds like it. And that's what I mean. It feels so comfortable and easy. He's never sounded this comfortable or easy.
But see, that's what kept Jay around so long. He was always able to talk about where his life was at the moment. And his life has always been so exciting that he could make exciting music.
Mike, what did I say 2 weeks
You're
ago?
Right.
It sounds like Jay needs to go hang out with Nas now, not the other way around. It's always been the other way around.
It's always been the other way around. It's always been Jay's out here on the scene. He's the guy that's, you know, popping or whatever. He's the guy with the brunch. Nas done even took the brunch from him. Man.
Look. And I don't want this to mess with our invite, Mike, but he got to have that brunch like close to home. He got kids, got a family. All right. He's married. All right. Nas has 2 kids. One of them is grown as hell. And in the video, Mike, she chilling in the video with her pops.
Right.
All right? He's single. Mingle.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I want a luncheon invite too. Reggie says, Mike Coop, which artist would you say has verse of the year? I think we're still on Lauren, right?
I think it's still Lauren on Nobody. And you want to know what's crazy, Mike? Nas has some verse of the year contender verses on Store Run and on Nobody. Actually, it's just, but still Lauren. I would put Gibbs' verse right after that on Boldy's album.
I might say Jay Electronica's verse on Donda too. That's a heavy one.
That would be my number 3. That would be my number 3 right now. I probably need to go listen to it again.
I think the Andre 3000 verse definitely deserves consideration. We got cursed out on one of the chats. I think it was in that video that we did about Andre, and they were saying that we just couldn't get past the fact that, the dynamic between him and Big Boy, and couldn't just listen to such a beautiful verse. And it is a beautiful verse. I don't want to take away from any of that. It's definitely a verse of the year candidate.
Mike, didn't we say it was a verse of the year candidate even when we said all those things?
I think we did, but
Okay, I just want to no. I just want to be clear because I felt like we talked about that, but we also said that the verse was great and it was a verse of the year contender, and that I believe I said I would put it forth right after Electronica's verse, and you were like, yeah, like that's about appropriate.
I know you got to get up out of here in a second, man. I do want to take a minute to. I want to mention something that happened last week because MTV celebrated 40 years. At their VMAs, and they used the VMAs to be a platform to talk about 40 years of MTV. Right. And I found it wild. It was mentioned to me that, and I watched the show too, but I wasn't thinking about it when I watched it. They didn't mention Michael Jackson at all. And Michael Jackson was a big, big part of MTV becoming what it was, or what it became, rather. Music television was a foreign concept. There wasn't any 24-hour playing music videos, and MTV started out just playing rock videos. And Michael Jackson upped the ante, clearly with, his music video Thriller. And on goes MTV. MTV rode off of the glory of Michael Jackson, and it seems like they've been unappreciative of it ever since. The Michael Jackson Music Vanguard Award is a thing for real. And I found that very unfortunate that it looks like they're trying to rewrite history in a sense to make it seem like Michael Jackson's impact on that network in specific wasn't what it was. And I think MTV owes Michael Jackson more than that. The legacy of Michael Jackson more than that as well. I mean, Janet wasn't even at the award show. They had Madonna open it up with a little speech, right? And, they had Jennifer Lopez there. They had, I saw Alicia Keys there. But yeah, man, they deserve to give Michael Jackson some sort of performance or something. Am I asking for too much when it comes to that?
No, you're not, Mike. And I'm going to tell you why. A lot of the times when I talk about some of these hip hop artists and I kind of half jokingly and half seriously say this, you're like, man, you didn't make Thriller. You didn't make Purple Rain. But Mike, in this case, we talking about the guy who made Thriller? Mike, he made MTV who they are with that video.
Every artist had to. I mean, budgets changed. I mean, what Thriller cost? What, $500,000 to make? They didn't want to make it. Michael was like, "Nah, if you guys don't put up the money, I'll put up the money myself and make it. So it's gonna happen." And and MTV put up $250,000 because they wanted in. When has MTV ever paid for anybody's music video?
Told you, Mike.
They needed him.
Mike, I told you, a video of the Little Red Corvette in 1999 wasn't slapping like that, even though it was on before Thriller.
And Thriller also showed people in the music industry that music videos can sell your record. Because Michael went on.
He made MTV.
He made MTV. And that whole notion transitioned through other artists. Other artists had to up their videos after that. And then now MTV has a network full of exciting new videos from multiple artists because of this man and the risk that he took betting on himself. And he carried y'all network on, and he gets no mention, huh? Are we going to try to erase Michael Jackson from history? Is that what they're doing? I just thought that was problematic, and I thought that needed to be mentioned because MTV clearly doesn't appreciate Michael Jackson. I have a quick story, too, before we go. I remember when Michael Jackson announced that he was going to do his This Is It tour. Mm-hmm. And this is back when we used to get on MTV.com, right? Uh-huh. And I will never forget it, man. It said, former King of Pop, Michael Jackson, announcing This Is It tour. They've been disrespecting Michael Jackson for a minute. And then, as soon as he died, months later, King of Pop, Michael Jackson, dead at 50 years old. I was like, I'm not fucking with MTV no more. I can't. I haven't since, and I
I
just
stopped fucking
find it
with them before
interesting that
that,
they're
but
keeping the disrespect going.
I stopped getting down with them a long time ago, Mike. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
really know like what to tell you, about all that. But everything that you're saying is true.
And it's. I'm glad that people are
I
starting to
really
see
don't have
it.
any words either, like, because I don't want, like, because I could just say some like really angry shit right now, but like I'm not going to.
No, yeah, I'm not saying that to say that. I just want the people out there to know, some information. That's what we're here, just reporting the news, reporting information, and talking about it. But yeah, I just find the fact that I don't like this whole culture of people trying to erase or not giving the props where props are necessary. Because we see in certain pockets, other individuals get more props than they deserve sometimes. I
So
mean, shit,
this
we
is part
still
of.
talk about Babe Ruth. And Babe Ruth was incredible for his era, but did Babe Ruth face some of the top pitching talents? Did he have to deal with relief pitchers? Did he have to deal with closers?
Mike, forget all that. Did he have to deal with Hispanics and blacks?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Not at
but,
all.
but yeah, I don't even want to go. Yeah, we're not even gonna go
But you
there.
know what I'm saying? So it's like and it's so funny too. Like, and I don't know if I talked about this on the show before. Maybe we talked about this offline. But whenever you mention Wilt Chamberlain's numbers and him doing all the shit he did, everybody's like, "Oh, well, he didn't play against nobody." Nigga, he played 40 years after Babe Ruth retired. We never say that about Babe. The fuck?
I think that says a lot about where we are in this nation. We'll leave it right there.
All right, and on that note, man, have a good night. I can't wait till next week, man. I'm expecting Pray for Paris level shit. So, and yes. And
I think from a king to a god would be a more fair expectation. And if that happens, that's why I was asking you how you felt about KD2. Do you think KD2 is better from a king to a god?
If both of them were out in the same year, that would be a close one. I would give the edge to KD2 because of the just where he's at in his career and and the challenge it takes
So
to.
what you're expecting is Pray for Paris, but what I'm expecting is From a King to a God. So I think we're about to hear the second best rap album of the year next week.
There's a lot of people on this one, man. And this is somebody who is very good at putting albums together. The
Well,
talent's there.
Mike. Well, Mike, the extensive guest list is part of the reason why I got it early, kind of slotted at number 2, because that's mostly Nas on a dolo mission for Coach to KD2.
True.
And so with splitting hairs, stuff like that starts mattering.
True. No, I agree. And I think that at the end of the day, we know where Nas is as an MC, and we know where Westside is as an MC. So the nod is probably going to go to Nas, unless we're hearing some, like you said, Pray for Paris level stuff. So yeah, but yeah, shout out to everybody in the room. Make sure y'all subscribe and hit the notification button, man. And we're gonna be here next week talking about Side B from Westside Gunn, and I can't wait for it.
All right.
Have a great weekend, sir.
You do the same, fam. Y'all be good out there.